All right. Hello again, Internet. Welcome back. Been off a couple days, or I hate to admit weeks, but we're back on schedule with the Onco Data Podcast. Now that we, and I presume a lot of you in the oncology community, are back settled at your desks after a hopefully busy and productive ASCO. So that's the auspices of today's brief podcast. I'm joined here. I almost said joined here as always, but he's joined enough that I feel like it's almost merited.
Yeah.
But
Regular contributor. Yeah.
my frequent guest, friend, and regular contributor, Christian Hayden, was kind enough to sit down with me today. So let Christian reintroduce himself.
Thank you, Mark. So my name is Christian Hayden. I am with a company called Opus Strategy. We work closely with LARVOL very often. We're a boutique life sciences consultancy working across oncology, other therapeutic areas, trying to help companies make sense of science, strategy, and innovation. I told Mark that for once I wrote a script, and I feel like you can tell. Anyway, so we're working everything CI, primary and secondary CI, clinical strategy, and doing some emerging stuff, digital health, AI, some stuff like that.
Awesome.
So it's a great company. Go to our website, opusstrategy.com. Thanks, Mark.
I'll say it again. Mine's not on a script. Opusstrategy.com. Definitely check those ladies and gents out. Obviously, we work close together. LARVOL being on the more data side and more, if I can use the word, bespoke consulting. That's where we rely on our partners with Opus. So today we're going to just chat. It's hard to cover this much ground as something on like ASCO in these few minutes. But I'm just going to flash up on the screen, Clin, and show again some of the construct around our social media following, and what we mean by that is following opinion leaders in oncology. And then Christian and I chatted right before we hit the go button on the podcast. We're just going to chat maybe about 3 trials, highlight some of those findings. So that being stated, let me see where the share my screen button is. Somewhere over here. All right. So let's go straight over to Clin. So that's what you hopefully are seeing here, Christian. Can you see that on your screen?
Yes, I can.
Wonderful. So super rapid fire, just to remind if anyone might be interested in Clin, obviously reach out to us either through our website, or you can also reach out directly through the Clin site itself, clin.larvol.com. But topic of the day, this is just a quick reminder of what we do in terms of social media and tracking with listening to oncologists in the space. So here are the top reactions, or a compilation of the top tweets, aka X posts, coming from the 6,000 or so oncologists who are in our system. So you're seeing here, and if you follow us on social media, you've probably seen different versions of this analytic. We curate those tweets to make sure they're relevant to trials and relevant to abstracts at ASCO in this case. And we use AI-enabled tools to address the sentiment of those posts, whether they're negative reactions to a trial or positive, and even the higher levels of positive being up towards oncologists thinking that the abstract and the data might be practice changing. So that's what you're seeing here. We're also expanding this a bit. If you follow some of our LinkedIn posts and X post over ASCO, we're actually adding a couple elements of this. One being having a rating for each trial overall, meaning is the overall results of the trial trending towards practice changing versus trending towards being negative. So that sort of combines the individual type posts that you see here, sort of each sentiment, but taking this together and also doing our own analysis. So you'll see that. And actually, Christian and I have been spending a good bit of time talking over the past week or so, because we've also been doing for some of our customers daily reports. So
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe Christian, I'll let you
Yeah.
describe sort of that
Yeah,
value add because we've been working on
let
it.
me just say before that, Clin, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Clin is invaluable here in pharma or the life sciences. It is particularly invaluable at conference time and even more particularly at ASCO. But yeah, what you and I were doing, Mark, which was pretty cool, is we had some clients that wanted daily reports. So they wanted any of the almost instantaneous reaction to disclosures from that day. So we actually, for all of the days of ASCO, for every day of ASCO, we sent them a report based on abstracts that they were interested in, based on topics that they were interested in, like multispecifics or ADCs. That was basically a roundup of all of the important abstracts and a snapshot of the uh, digital opinion leader reaction to those. And that was very well received, and I think it's something we'll, based on how well it was received, I would bet we're going to be doing a lot more of that in the future.
There's what is it? What's the colloquialism? No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah,
So we
yeah,
hope that
yeah,
we
yeah,
collectively did a good job. Thus,
yeah.
we will
We,
not
we
go unpunished and do it again.
we're all
Frankly,
staying up late, and we'll be staying up late in the future.
fair enough. Frankly, we'll be doing some versionings of this for some customers. EHA is right around the
Around the
proverbial
corner.
corner. I
Yeah.
think it's a week away. So,
Yep. Yeah, we got a couple good heme conferences coming up. ICML.
so we'll be to plug, like, and subscribe. If you're interested in these type of things, please reach out to either Opus or LARVOL, or reach out to both at the same time. You might double your reaction time if you reach out to us concurrently. But let's maybe toss it over now that we sort of looked at the software. We chatted before about 3 trials. I guess there was Serena 6,
Yes.
Matterhorn, and maybe Destiny Breast 06. Obviously, there was a lot of high impact trials at Atomic, but we can't get to everything. But maybe we could start with sort of some of your thoughts on, maybe if we start at Serena 6. So
Yes.
Estrogen receptor mutations, I'll call tracking
Very,
it, because very interestingly,
very cool trial.
intervention before progression. So I wanted to see your
Yeah.
thoughts on that.
Very cool trial. So this is a trial of camizestrant, which is AstraZeneca's SERD, for the treatment of ESR1 positive breast cancer, first line, plus a CDK4/6. What they did here that's really interesting is they used ctDNA. So they did a lot of monitoring, and they took liquid biopsies to detect ESR1 mutations as they emerged. And then once they found them, they switched early to camizestrant SERD. So PFS jumped in the patients they did that, 16 months versus 9.2, 50% drop in risk of progression of death, quality of life improvements. Obviously, the drug is impressive here, but also just the timing of the drug and their strategy for how they were going to deploy it. Very, very cool example of modern precision oncology. Very good results. A lot of excitement from the KOLs that LARVOL is following.
Some skepticism.
Some skepticism, yeah,
that needs to be called out.
It's interesting. Yeah, the skeptical claim is interesting. Basically saying, if you are doing this, if you are measuring very early and you're detecting changes, and then you're deploying the drug very early, then of course your PFS is naturally going to be longer. Which is it's a genuinely, it's a good point. It's a good and interesting point. So I still think it's very encouraging. I think we'll see a lot more of this, but we'll also see how the kind of reaction to and how the controls to this develop as well.
Sure. Well, I mean, is there also not an element of, I don't know what the word would be, sort of traditionalist view, and there's practical views of this, of people being able to get and have access to these type of liquid biopsies in this context, to be frank. And also there could be a traditionalist view of changing a treatment in the context of prior to progression. I mean, you could see from a traditionalist view there might be pushback on that.
Right. Yeah,
I don't know.
absolutely. And there's certainly going to be access questions, as this
Sure,
will certainly raise costs, as any precision oncology. The more precise it gets, tends to raise costs. Um,
that's fair.
yeah, I see the point that the naysayers are making. I still think it's interesting though.
Fair enough. Well, maybe we'll switch gears out of HER2 negative breast. Maybe we'll cycle back to breast, but maybe we can jump over to, I guess, Matterhorn in terms of gastric and
Yes, yes, yes,
GEJ,
yes.
and
Yeah,
adding in your proverbial IO, the way I
yeah, yeah.
sometimes phrase it. Um,
So
I'll
I
let you
would,
take it away, Christian. That was
yeah,
a
I would
rather odd
say.
setup.
So this is the addition of durvalumab to FLOT, FLOT, which is kind of the standard of care in resectable gastric and GEJC. This was very impressive results, particularly welcome because we do not get a lot of those in gastric cancer. So it's really very nice to see that. Adding durvalumab improved event-free survival significantly across all subgroups. HER2 positive, HER2 negative, PD-L1 high and low. This is the way that it was not just for metastatic, but also before and after surgery,
Mhm.
which is was a bold move to take. And what we have, the response is a lot of people saying this is uh, significantly improved EFS, significantly improved pathological complete response rates. We still need to get the OS data, but people are already calling this practice changing, partially as a result of there being relatively few options for this population.
Sure. Yeah, I know the 5-year survival rates in that context are quite low. I think I saw you write that somewhere in 50% range, something to that effect.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So, uh,
I I,
yeah,
I feel like the structure of this conversation is now I'm being the negative one. I did notice there was a good bit, mostly in the discussants. I think I maybe neglected to say this. We cover DOL's reactions to not just the abstract itself, but we can track it too if there's reactions to the discussants. And I
yes,
did see a lot of
very helpful.
questions about OS and the significance. Some questions of is EFS a good enough proxy? I mean, that's not a brand new
Yeah,
question, but there was definitely some questions in that regard. But now on the counter, enough people were excited about it that I can't remember who penned it, but people were calling it DFLOT immediately
yeah,
as a
yeah,
regimen. So
yeah. And as soon as something gets a nickname, then you know it's going to stick. Um,
fair enough. So
yeah,
um,
I think again, there's some concerns as yet. OS is not significant. I think always when we have relatively mature OS, we're going to need a little bit. We're going to need to wait for that. But still, very good
that's
signal,
fair.
and some hope for this population.
Absolutely. Well, maybe to close out quickly, maybe we land on what Destiny Breast 06 means for HER2 low or even HER2 ultra low.
Yes.
And I feel like before long we're going to be at HER2 ultra low, but I digress.
Yeah.
So what's your views from
Yeah.
what's
Let
coming
me
out of
just
06?
take just to make a quick statement, which is I am not a shill for AstraZeneca because I just realized that every single trial we have discussed is an AZ trial. So
I
I
appreciate
just want
you
to
called
point
that
that
out.
out. Yeah.
I I frankly didn't realize that. Not intended. But
Yeah.
that
No,
being
not
stated,
intended.
full discussion, let's just talk about the science.
Yeah.
Maybe on 06.
Yeah. All right. So this is in HER2, which is TX DX. And Destiny Breast 06 is in HER2 positive breast cancer. What we showed was we had very impressive PFS, so 13.2 months in HR positive, HER2 low metastatic breast cancer versus 8.1 for chemo. There's also some very interesting signals of efficacy in the HER2 ultra low tumors. which is a group that historically has not been considered receptive to targeted therapy, and almost written off. And I think that the victory that this is not only for patients but for AZ and Enhertu is that if it's able to get a broader approval off of this, then we're looking at up to 80% of metastatic breast cancer patients would be eligible for Enhertu, which is obviously a huge expansion of the patient population, and good for the patients and good for AZ.
Fair enough. I hate to admit my age, but getting my PhD years and years ago, I never, from just a very basic scientist perspective, thought of HER2 ultra low. To me, I always thought of things as binary as a clinical scientist, that there's expression, there's not expression, there's targeting, and there's not targeting. But that was obviously a naive view from all those years ago. So it could be excellent news for expand that patient population. So as I always say, this is the world's shortest podcast in which we tried to cover ASCO. So that seemed like a fool's errand, but we just wanted to talk as much as we could about a couple trials. So really appreciate you, Christian, for joining me. Any last final thoughts or plugs?
No, just please go find Opus Strategy either at our website or our LinkedIn. We have lots of great content coming out there too.
Sounds good. And don't forget, if you get a chance, check out clin.larvol.com. That's my pitch. We're done pitching. Let's leave it here. Thank you so much, Christian. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Mark. Bye.
Cheers.